Hi, I'm Ruth.
And I'm Becky.
This is our recipe deconstruction project for ginger cookies. This recipe has been passed down in Becky's family for generations, and it's such a family favorite that we decided we had to share. Trust us, you won't be disappointed with the results. Here's a brief history of ginger cookies. According to a blogger from Smithsonian.com, gingerbread used to be a favorite treat at medieval English fairs and festivals. Ladies used to give their favorite knight in shining armor a piece of gingerbread to show them their favor, and even would superstitiously eat gingerbread husbands in the hope that they'd have better luck finding a real husband. The term gingerbread actually didn't come to mean a ginger-flavored baked good until sometime in the 15th century. Before that, it just meant any type of preserved ginger. Gingerbread has been popular throughout history, with one recipe created by George Washington's mother and a cameo appearance in the German story Hansel and Gretel, in which the witch lives in a gingerbread house. Supposedly, Queen Elizabeth I is credited with creating the first gingerbread man when she created gingerbread men in the shapes of fellow royals and gave them as gifts, creating the little figurines in carefully crafted wooden molds.
The special ingredients in this recipe are ginger, molasses, and shortening. They provide the cookie with a spiced, slightly sweet taste and a soft, chewy texture that is delicious and perfect for the holiday season. Here are all of the ingredients in this recipe. 4.5 cups of flour, which contains high amounts of gluten-forming proteins gliadin and glutenin that create gluten in the presence of water, which will give the cookies some structure. 2 teaspoons of baking soda, which is a base that reacts with the acid in molasses when in an aqueous solution to release carbon dioxide gas, making the cookies puff up and become light and round. The baking soda also provides some browning. A teaspoon and a half of cinnamon, a teaspoon of cloves, and 4 teaspoons of ginger add flavor to the cookies. A half a teaspoon of salt enhances the flavors of the other ingredients. A cup and a half of shortening is only fat. There's no water present. This doesn't cause the gliadin and glutenin to create the gluten, thus it should create a crumbly, crisp cookie. The 2 cups of sugar sweeten the cookies and also aid in the browning by caramelization. 2 eggs are a binder for the dough. The half a cup of molasses is created by the separation of sucrose from the juice within a sugarcane plant by boiling the juice and concentrating it until the sucrose crystallizes to form raw sugar, and the remaining liquid is the molasses. This molasses can then be further boiled down to make a darker molasses. The molasses itself is a thickener, which provides liquid and acid, which the baking soda will react with to produce the carbon dioxide gas. Lastly is 3/4 a cup of rough sugar. This sugar is just used for rolling the dough right before baking. It provides some more browning and a little crunch on the outside.
Now that you've gotten the ingredients down, here are the methods for making these cookies turn out perfectly. First, preheat your oven. Now, stir together your flour and spices. This will help evenly combine all of the spices and the dry ingredients together. Cream the shortening until it's softened with a handheld mixer. Gradually add the sugar and beat until the mixture is fluffy. This creaming will incorporate air into the shortening and will dissolve the sugar, reducing the granular texture of the sugar and fully dispersing the sugar throughout the food system. Now add the eggs and molasses and beat well. The beating will unwind the egg proteins so that when they bake, they'll hold the fat droplets from the shortening in place and bind the cookie together. Now add your flour mixture and beat until combined. This adds starch to the system, and beating it will begin to activate the gluten so that the cookies will be chewier. It also adds the baking soda into the molasses acidic environment so that the leavening process can begin. Now, create 2-inch balls rolled in your palms and roll in the rough sugar. Place them on the cookie sheet 2.5 inches apart because the cookies will spread out, and then bake for 12 to 14 minutes. Let them cool on the sheets for 2 minutes and then transfer to a wire rack to cool fully. The reason you need to use a wire rack is because air needs to circulate throughout the entire cookie so that the bottoms of the cookies stay crisp. No one likes soggy cookies.
Our variation of the ginger cookie involved the form of fat used in the cookies. Instead of using shortening, which only contains the fat, like I previously said, we substituted butter, which is about 82% fat and 18% water. The addition of water and lack of fat produced clear differences in the final products. The first difference we observed was while creating the dough. While incorporating the fats and sugar, the shortening was white and fluffy, while the butter version was bright yellow and fluffy. This was expected due to the butter's added color. Once the molasses and egg was added, the mixtures were hard to distinguish from each other. After the flour was added to each mixture, the dough with shortening was much more malleable and more moist. The butter dough held its shape in a firmer fashion and was more crumbly until incorporated by hand. After baking, the differences included color, shape, texture, and taste. The butter version was much lighter in color and denser than the shortening cookies. We contribute this to both gluten formation and surface area. More gluten could be formed in the butter cookies due to excess water incorporated into the dough. The gluten network held the shape of the cookies tightly, not allowing them to spread much, keeping the final product small and compact. The texture was dense and cakey throughout. The taste was overpoweringly buttery, while the spice and molasses flavor were only slightly detectable. The shortening cookies spread much more than the butter and had an even dark brown color. Cracking occurred on the tops of these cookies, which were desirable to us. A crisp outside with a slightly chewy center also increased these cookies' desirability. The taste of the shortening cookies was focused on the spices and richness of the molasses, which is to be expected in your typical ginger-flavored product.
As you can see, it's very important that you use the correct type of fat when baking because it really does make a difference in the final outcome of the product. We hope you enjoyed our presentation, and please feel free to snack on the cookies that we've passed out to you.
Last but not least, thank you, and let us know if you have any questions.